Now everybody, let me tell you a story about Hollywood shame, where terrible actors and scripts collide. Oh, what a mess it is on the other side. Saw the lights, camera, action begin, but all I got was a movie that plunged in a spin. From the first scene to the credits that roll, a Hollywood disaster, you've taken its toll. Silver Screen Cesspool, bad movies galore. Can't help but wonder what the hell were they making these for? Throw in some cliches, the sharp, the predictable plot. It's a train wreck, I tell you, it's all they ever got.
And now for our feature presentation.
Welcome to the Silver Screen Cesspool, where we review the pool. And now your host, the surveyor of cinema, the mocker of moronic movies, the terror of tiny town, the last known survivor of battlefield Earth, the one of many, Alan Smithee.
I had not so secretly hoped that Spirit Halloween was a very old movie and that the retail store was named after it. But that was a false hope, seeing as the movie came out in 2022. I had a little bit of hope because the movie stars one of the most underappreciated actors of our generation, Christopher Lloyd. His disembodied head takes up a good 40% of the movie poster, floating over the rest of the cast like the great and powerful Oz. So imagine my surprise when he's killed off before we even get to see his name in the opening credits. Drew Barrymore, eat your heart out. He plays a businessman from the 1940s who just purchased the small New England or possibly Midwestern orphanarium so that he could develop the land into a strip mall. And when he tells the adult who runs the orphanarium to skedaddle off his newly acquired property, she puts a curse on him and he drops dead. That's it. 3 lines of dialogue. It took me longer to tell you he was in the movie than he was actually in the movie. We cut to present day, where it becomes obvious this is going to be the sort of teen movie that made Nickelodeon and the Disney Channel piles of cash, only without the piles of cash. Also starring in this movie is Rachel Leigh Cook, who, much to my surprise, did not play her usual ultra-adorable teen protagonist role. But instead, she plays the mother of our teen protagonist because she got old. I mean, she's a year younger than me, so really, I got old. Either way, still rather unsettling to me, like when my favorite adult actress stopped doing barely legal films and started accepting MILF roles. The actual teen protagonist of this movie is her on-screen son, Jake. Jake is a mildly angsty young boy, as his dad is dead, his mom has remarried, and his new stepdad and stepsister think that princesses are perfectly acceptable for Halloween decorations. Which they aren't, because they're not scary, so I feel them on that one. I got you, bro. Jake has 2 friends, Carson, because, of course, every third child these days is named Carson, and Bo, who is played by Jaden J. Smith, not to be confused with Jaden Smith, offspring of Will Smith, although I hear the J in Jaden J. Smith stands for Jiggy. Bo knows getting jiggy with it. They stumble upon an abandoned mall built on the site of the old orphanarium with a Spirit Halloween in it, of course. And while I expected a self-aware meta-type joke here, much like my college girlfriend, it never came. Jake's favorite holiday is Halloween, which makes sense given the title of the movie. I mean, if his favorite holiday was Labor Day, that would be kind of weird. But his best pal, Carson, doesn't want to go trick-or-treating this year because they're too old for it, seeing as they're going to be in high school next year, and he has peach fuzz on his chest now. That's a quote, peach fuzz. Jake disagrees, but they compromise by agreeing to break into and spend the night in the local Spirit Halloween on Halloween night. Mom tells the Jakester that stepdad has offered to take them to buy Halloween costumes tomorrow, as Jake is putting the final touches of makeup on his vampire costume. At least I thought it was a costume, but why would he need another costume to be purchased with stepdad tomorrow? Unless he's a real vampire. Dun dun dun! Finally, Halloween night rolls around and trick-or-treaters are wandering around town in full costumes, conveniently available at your local Spirit Halloween. They're not knocking on doors or collecting candy, as is typical for most shows and movies set on Halloween night. Yeah, I bet you never noticed that in E.T., that everyone is just wandering around in costumes aimlessly and no one was actually getting their Reese's Pieces on. The boys hide inside the props of the Spirit Halloween store and wait to be locked inside at closing time. The seasonal Spirit Halloween store is well organized and fully stocked, with tons of never opened costume packaging on Halloween night. Instead of looking like a store that has been looted multiple times, like a real Spirit Halloween. There's no licensed costumes, of course, or even costumes changed just enough not to be copyright infringement, like Italian Plumber Man, or Midweek Goth Girl, or Stabby Fist Sideburns Guy. But at least the floors are dirty, so that feels really authentic. Jake has told his mom he's staying at Carson's Halloween night. Carson has told his mom and sister he was staying at Bo's. Bo knows to tell his Grammy that he's staying at Jake's. But Carson's mom is working, and his older sister is supposed to be the responsible party. But Carson forgot his phone at home. So, sister tries to bring it to him at Jake's. Wait a minute. So completely unbelievable. I don't know a teenager that would accidentally leave their phone behind when they left the room to make a dookie, let alone when they left home. Anyway, Sister Kate does them a solid and lies to Josie and the Pussycats and says she made a mistake and that they all were actually staying at Bo's house. But they aren't there either, so she tracks them down to the cell phone dead zone of Spirit Halloween using an Instagram post. By the way, did I mention that Jake has a thing for Carson's older sister Kate? Because this will be important later. I'm not sure important to who, but somebody. All of the animatronic Halloween decorations start to come to life, possessed by the ghost of Christopher Lloyd. We don't actually see anything that resembles Christopher Lloyd, though. Just a vaguely spooky looking light in his voice, or perhaps a reasonable facsimile thereof. It's likely his voice, though, because I remember how pissed off Crispin Glover got when they had somebody else play him in Back to the Future 2. Anyway, the old man's ghost needs to possess a real body to leave the store, and he's only able to do that for 1 hour on the anniversary of his death. I'm pretty sure he's in hell if he's doomed to spend the afterlife in a Spirit Halloween. Just my personal thought. Anyway, Sister Kate shows up at Spirit Halloween wearing pants stolen from Bray Wyatt, and upon finding the front door locked, immediately decides the best course of action is to climb up on the roof and try to find an entrance there like she's Santa Claus. And it works, as she drops from the ceiling to the top of the only metal display rack in the store. They all then try to escape from the store and the now newly haunted human-sized teddy bear by climbing back up that metal rack. See, they can't open the doors from the outside and let the other ones out because they're deadbolted from the inside, and they can't open them from the inside because the movie would be too short then. I don't know, man. They just don't open them from the inside. You're not supposed to question it. Poor little Bo Peep gets stuck on the top of the display, and Bo doesn't know how to climb out, but also the bear is on the ground vaguely threatening him by gently rocking the display. Bo is scared because Bo knows gravity. The remaining three decide to come to his rescue by shooting the bear with Nerf guns, which the bear might find mildly annoying if he had eyes of flesh. But he doesn't. He's a teddy bear. But somehow this plan works anyway, at least until they run out of Nerf bullets. So, like 10 seconds, maybe 11, which happens to be enough time for Bo to climb down. Then Kate does some cartwheel flippy ninja kick thing to the bear, completely out of the blue. Why not? The kids run off and barricade themselves inside the storeroom. Get it? Barricade? And rather than just waiting it out for another 45 minutes, they try to come up with a plan to escape using the trap door they just found in the manager's office. A perfectly normal thing to have in an abandoned mall, right? The oddly placed below-ground office space gives way to a creepy basement, which then gives way to a scary crawl space, which then gives way to caves with walking paths and handrails. I don't feel like they're going to less threatening places. They're going to scarier and scarier places. Why? And yes, while they are escaping the ghost, none of this should be under a mall. If the Alamo doesn't have a basement, neither should a Spirit Halloween. Meanwhile, Mom is getting sus. Did I use that right? I'm not old. I'm hip with the lingo. She's all sus that something is up, so she decides to go for a drive. The spirit decides it needs to upgrade its body to break down the door to the office. And when it finally sucks, no, wait, succeed is a word I need to say all of. When it finally succeeds, we have a Halloween costume that's a deformed man in overalls, with a saw for one hand and a circus-sized wooden mallet for the other. Unfortunately, now he lacks fingers, so he can't pull open the trap door. And the best moment of this movie is seeing Buzzsaw shuffling out of the office, dejected and muttering to himself, "I need to find one with hands." The kids find the ghost skull in the cave, and I promise you it's not a prop from Spirit Halloween. It's like so totally realistic, dude. Then they inexplicably, inside the cave, find a shack with a rusted tin roof. Now, if I were the type of person who yells at characters in the movie, I'd yell, "Stay away, fools, the club rules." But they go in anyway and find some handy plot devices that tell them they're in trouble if the spirit possesses them at the stroke of midnight. The spirit, now in a four-handed body, breaks through the wall of the shack. They flee, but Bobo falls down, go boom. The monster slowly begins to approach him, but Bo makes a not-so-witty element joke and then uses a lighter and aerosol spray can to torch the ghost's body, because Bo knows science. I feel like there should be a kids don't try this at home warning here, but there's not. So feel free to try it at home, kids. The body of the haunted decoration turns into a fireball and melts rather quickly because all that Spirit Halloween is made with the cheapest, most flammable synthetic stuff on Earth. The kids run back up to the store and discover the wire rack is knocked over, and Kate proclaims, now there's no way out, because even thinking about setting the rack upright is too hard, and windows can't be broken, and if they could, you're not supposed to walk through windows. That's silly. Carson points out if the ghoulie does get them, at least they'll go down together. He then suggests giving their ID card to the border guard, the one with the alias of Jean-Luc Picard of the United Federation of Planets, because he won't speak English anyway. Mom, meanwhile, has driven past everyone's house and looks very concerned, or possibly constipated, as she sees a light emanating from the Spirit Halloween store, and away she goes like a bat out of hell, because only her son can shine a weird bright light like that, or something. The kids have decided not to run anymore and stand and fight the ghost. So it's going down, and Kesha's yelling timber. They find rhyming instructions on how to defeat the ghost. So if it rhymes, it's gonna work. Kate offers her grandmother's necklace as a sacrifice for the ritual. But Jakey Poo loses it because he's an irresponsible teen. Or the ghost inhabited a skeleton prop and picked his pocket. Carson, in an unusual moment of clarity for bad films everywhere, suggests they just use something else, rather than wasting time looking for it or trying to get it back. Carson does, however, insist they use the picture Jake has of him and his dead dad. Jake doesn't like this, obviously, and tells Carson he wouldn't understand because his dad was just an automobile. A car. He was the son of a car. Carson. This leads to fisticuffs between the two. Bo attempts to mediate because Bo knows interpersonal relationship dynamics. Carson storms off angrily, and it's always a good idea to go it alone when being chased by a monster ghost or serial killer. As soon as he does, though, Jake agrees to do what Carson wanted, so clearly he had strongly held beliefs. He wasn't willing to compromise. Fisticuffs are totally worth it, dude. Before they can start the ritual, this time, however, the ghost knocks over a jar of eyeballs, which Kate slips on, and then the ghost possesses her. I'm not sure why the ghost couldn't just inhabit her, or anybody else for that matter, and always felt a need to, punch them or something first. It's like he was trying to fail. But apparently the ghost's self-esteem has much improved, and he's no longer self-sabotaging, because now he has succeeded, and Haunted Kate just ate the picture. But here comes Mom to save the day, because she's all that. I'm not sure how she knows they're in there or that they need saving, but it really doesn't matter because everything is over before she can break the window with a crowbar and contribute to anything. Final boss time! Carson arms himself with a Nerf gun. Bo has a plastic ninja sword. Bo knows ninjutsu. And Jake gets the rope because someone just ate picante sauce made in New York City. Jake tells the ghost to leave his girlfriend alone, which is creepy because they've never even talked about dating or even flirted. They finally throw an old book into the fire and break the spell just as it turns midnight. Everyone is saved, and as Jake leans in to kiss his non-consenting girlfriend, she tells him it isn't going to happen. Finally, some realism to this movie. Her turning him down. The end. No, wait! Cut to the next morning when the Spirit Halloween employee opens up and finds the store trashed like any good Spirit Halloween should be on November 1st. The end. No, wait! Cut to 1 year later and Jake is taking his little stepsister out trick-or-treating. Stepdaddy-o tells him he's proud of him. They hug and fade to black. The end. No, wait! Cut to that inexplicable shack in the cave under the mall. And Bo's half-blind grandma is there doing witchy voodoo shit with the dead guy's skull so his spirit can finally rest. Because if there's anything Bo's grandma knows, it's creepy-sounding chants. And then inexplicably, there's lightning inside the cave, underground, below the Spirit Halloween. And Bo's grandma disappears. The end. No, wait! Don't go. The movie loves you. It can change. It promises. It'll never hurt you again. The end. Or is it? It is the end now. For real this time. At least until Spirit Christmas the movie comes out with the Ghost of Christmas Past and Bob Marley because the Rasta Man costume didn't sell out at Halloween this year. Spirit Halloween is available streaming on Prime. No, wait! The end.
Silver Screen Cesspool is written, directed, and starring Alan Smithee. Assistant director, producer, and stunt coordinator, Alan Smithee. BoomMic operator, sound editing, and music by Alan Smithee. Construction coordinator. The Amazing Rando. Makeup by Crayola. Catering was provided by the Soylent Corporation. Alan Smithee will be back in Return of the Curse of the Planet of the Prehistoric Bikini Ninjas versus Kingdom of the Bride of the Killer, Shark Cheerleaders 2, Electric Boogaloo.